Cam Radio, Tony G, Big Lou on the sports book. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Batter down. I guess hopefully everybody had a great New Year's.
Oh yeah.
And get another new year. It looks like we're in for some rocky weather. Hopefully that doesn't.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
A lot of crazy stuff.
Make sure. Yeah. Make sure y'all be safe out there. We got some wintery mix coming up at the end of the week. Make sure that y'all prepare. Go to your grocery stores and get all of your snacks and things that you like to have. Get that out the way early because with wintery mix comes icy roads, power outages, things of that nature. So make sure y'all prepare because it happens every year at the same time. So 2025, we are going to prepare for what we know is coming.
There we go. I like it. Get just people. Yeah, just don't go crazy. Just go pick up some stuff. It's only for a day or whatever. And a lot of crazy football happening. We're gonna try to cover it all. NFL, some college. So we had the Thursday. We had Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. It was kind of the start of it. Cincinnati didn't score as many points as I thought they would have scored on Pittsburgh's defense. But Cincy found a way to win, and because I really thought Burrow, because we talked about it, his specs.
Right.
Let me see. Burrow had 277. He still had a. It wasn't like he didn't have a good day. He had a good. He had a good day, but he had been having some 400-yard days, and I thought, like I said, I really thought we talked about it. Thought maybe he was going to put some more. They were going to put. I really thought they were going to drop a 30 piece on Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh definitely did hang in there. Wilson was 17 for 31, 148. It seems like he's kind of regressed a little to me. You know what I mean? Like he was hot for a while, and then
he regressed. Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. He regressed a little bit, and also, it's like they've been reporting on all of the sports media. It's the lack of consistency and effort of his wide receiver Pickens.
Right. Yeah.
I did do my due diligence and I researched. I went back and looked at some highlights of his work, and I could see where in some routes where he quit on or he didn't put his best effort on. And everybody knows that the quarterback, receiver, the whole tandem is about timing. You have to run your route correctly because the quarterback is going to throw the ball where you're supposed to be so that you can catch it in stride, get more yards, maybe score a touchdown. And there were a few plays where he didn't put the effort forward or it just looked like he flat out put on plays. And I know that's something that could be worked on. I'm pretty sure it's been addressed and it could be worked on. But I've noticed that in some of the games where he has had lack of effort, which causes turnovers and things of that nature, because your quarterback is anticipating what you're supposed to do when it comes to running certain routes and things of that nature.
Correct. That was one that, like I said, didn't do the score because I thought for sure they were going to score some points. They did not.
Right.
And then you had the Bengals and the Ravens, and it kind of went the way we thought it was going to go. With even with all the points, I thought maybe the Browns could.
Okay, we have a little bit of internet.
I thought Lamar broke the all-time rushing record. Oh, okay. Yeah, we had Lamar broke the all-time rushing record for quarterbacks. Congrats to him. The Ravens are cooking. It seems to be on all cylinders. That was a good game. and then we went to. Let me make sure. So that was the Saturday game,
Those were the
and then
Saturday
we
games.
the Saturday games, and then we had
Hmm
my computer's going back and forth, and then we had Houston. We had Houston and the Titans.
hmm
Houston's won that. I mean, we weren't really surprised. The Titans actually, uh, they fought. You know, what I mean,
hmm
they're getting good draft choices. They're not getting the number one though, correct? They're getting a
That's
number one,
correct.
but not the number one.
Right.
And really, to me, if you get the top 10 picks in the number in the first 10, I mean, you
You're
should be
shooting
able to,
good.
yeah. Um, so yeah, the Texans won, and then so that was Thursday.
Hmm
Um, and then the Sunday, starting off with Sunday. How about the Panthers beating up on the Falcons?
Man,
I don't know.
what a
I don't
game.
know.
Taking them to
Yeah,
overtime. The Panthers, they're on to something. It seems like they're on to something. Whatever their coach put in that pregame, it seems to click. I think they found their quarterback in Bryce Young. He just,
I think yeah,
he just needs some tutelage. And it looks like things are going in the right direction because they've been these last 2 or 3 games, they've been in them. Or they've played hard enough to make it difficult for their opponent.
yes, I totally agree. I mean, um, yeah, that was one of the games I was like, yeah, but the Panthers pulled the upset. The over was over, obviously. Good game. Like I said, Bryce Young, yeah, he had a. It's good to see him doing well.
Yes, yes.
And like I said, they just need to stick with a program, stick with a coach, and just stick with it. And highlights the his skills that he's good at. Um, the Commanders and the Cowboys. It was a decent game. I thought. I mean, the Commanders they did their deal. They sat their quarterback.
hmm
Um, and the Cowboys lost another one. Um, they had a this year. The Cowboys had a rough time at home.
Yeah,
They had
it
a
was a
rough
rough
time.
season for the Cowboys this season, plagued with injuries. And the starting quarterback getting hurt, with Dak being hurt, and having the
Right.
injuries on defense, it was just a bad season for them. They have to get back, and they got some holes to fill, some decisions to make. Um, they're never going to get a coach that's going to be the voice of the team. They're
No,
always going
it's
to have to go through the owner, and then the
yeah.
coach has got to be okay, you know, with the structure of their organization. So I don't know how that dynamic is going to work for them, Tony, especially when you know, when you need a high caliber coach to coach the team with the type, with the type of
Type of
with the
energy the
type of
team has,
culture,
or yeah.
right? The type of culture that their team has. You need a experienced coach, but you're a experienced coach is going to need control, and he doesn't have that. So it's
Right.
going to be an interesting dynamic of what's going on with the Cowboys organization as far as their head coaching is concerned.
My thought process on that is you can have the swag, and if I mean, you can have it, but after a while, when you haven't won in a long time, nobody wants to hear it. I mean, it's less and
Right,
less attractive. I mean, they've
right,
got all kind of report. We're going to switch America's team, and people are just they haven't won in a long time, so they're not. I
absolutely.
mean, they're barking. They make a lot of barking. A lot of attention is put on them, which they're. I mean, that's not their fault. That's the media. And then last year when they interviewed Dak, and they were like 2024, he said Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl. When you say stuff like that, I get it, and they weren't that even when he was playing they weren't that great. I mean just wasn't.
No.
They were missing some they were just missing some meshing on the field at times. They did. The Bears and the Packers, that was a nothing game for the Packers because Jordan
Nothing game.
Love's. Yeah, But the Bears won. It was 24-22. It was a fun game to watch. Like I said, this is these games were always hard to these games were hard to really find an angle of betting. Um, and I know better, and I still was messing around with some stuff I probably shouldn't have been messing around with. Um, but the overs, I was trying to mess with some overs, some scores, um, and then you had the Jaguars and the Colts. This was actually turned out to be a good game. It went to overtime.
Hmm.
I think the Jaguars are going to do some overhauling in this offseason.
Yeah,
Uh,
I see a reboot coming.
yeah, I think the quarterback he needs a lot of help. They need to change.
Hmm.
They just need to like you said, a reboot. The Colts didn't finish any better than they did last year. I mean, really didn't really go um, not where they wanted to be, and it's they have a lot of work going forward too. Um,
Hmm.
the Bills and the Patriots. The Bills sat everybody. The Patriots did win, and
Hmm.
the Patriots won, but didn't they screw themselves out of the first round pick?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what I
they
was.
did. With that win, they screwed themselves, and they also got rid of Mayo,
Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
I, which but we all know who they're hunting for. Of course they're hunting for Vabel, Mike Vabel,
Yeah.
and
I just,
maybe they should have kept him as a DC or something.
yeah, like I said, it was his first year. They're lacking a
Hmm.
lot of stuff too. Um, I mean, they haven't been the Patriots in 6 years. A lot of talent's
No.
gone. Still trying to find that quarterback. Um, the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles, handle their business. The second string handle their handle their business. The Saints
Hmm.
and now the Saints played. The Saints actually were in there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They were actually in
Yeah.
there, and the Bucks made a little game of it.
Hmm.
The Saints definitely made a game of it. They and I'm sure the Saints. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the Saints are going to do a whole reboot also.
Yes, they're looking for a head coach. Um, they're looking, for someone familiar with the facility. They have a lot of up in age players on their roster. They got to get younger. Um, and we also, um, me personally, and I say it every week, so I wasn't gonna bore everybody. Everybody knows how I feel. I'm not a fan. I'm not a Derek Carr fan.
Right? I get it. I
I'm
get
not,
it.
I'm not a Derek Carr fan. I'm not taking anything away from what he's done, but I don't think he's the right fit for the Saints. I think they need a better quarterback. Then that way, Spencer Rattler can sit and watch the game and mature that way because he could be a future player. He plays pretty well. He shows flashes of a good quarterback, but
Right.
it's just too early for him.
I think
But I'm not sure if they can afford to let up off of the salary that Derek Carr was getting from them. I'm not sure of the dynamics. I have to do some research on that.
I think there was a. I mean, there was a short, brief time there where the Saints were on fire. He looked really good
Mhm.
early in the
First two
season.
games
Just
of the season.
yet, man, came out and bam, 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 and it was like, oh, okay, this is. But yeah, had some bumps and bruises, some other issues, and yeah, it just hasn't panned out. But my hats off to them because they did make a move, did
Mhm.
try, didn't necessarily and the thing is they keep winning enough games not to really get a bunch of great draft choices. It's
Right.
just good enough. I mean, if they can't, I mean, if they just went 0-17, they got the first round draft and they get a bunch of picks. Um,
Hmm.
Same thing with the Cowboys. The Cowboys seem to win. They don't get a lot of good drafts, so they got to trade.
Right. They
It's
right?
it's
They,
just
yeah, it's
no. What do you
crazy. They
say?
win just enough not to improve the team, just to add a piece here or a piece there, but they win just enough not to knock themselves out of contention of improving their team with a
Right,
high
right.
draft pick, with a high draft pick.
The Chiefs and the Broncos. Here's where I've made a mistake. I tweezed it up on the and I used the word tweet. I think I tweeted up to like 16, 17 points. I said, well, surely
Mm.
the Chiefs aren't going to let them just come in and walk all over them. But here's the deal. It just made me realize why I never really liked Carson Wentz because he had all kind of players that were open. It was just say, I was like, yeah, he was, I'm like, dude, I mean, I get it.
I mean,
I said, yeah, a lot. They made the Broncos look like they were just way better than they were. I'm not saying
mm-hmm,
the Broncos, I mean, he's turned them around, got them in the playoffs. I know all that.
mm-hmm,
But let's be honest here. I mean, it's not, um, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, but that was one, and it was like, holy cow, 38 to
right.
nothing. Um,
38 to nothing. I um I feel the same way, Tony, that you feel. It seems, yeah, I thought the Chiefs was going to at least, put up some points. And I just feel like since the injury, Carson Wentz hasn't been the same quarterback.
no, no, it just hasn't been the. I mean, he had people wide open, and I'm like, well, I know he practiced. I mean, I know they were running. I mean, and
Had
I
the
said
majority
this,
of the plays in practice,
yeah,
or
and I'm
should
like,
have. Yeah.
I hope Mahomes doesn't get hurt. That he has to come because Carson Wentz ain't going to get him anywhere. But the Broncos make it to the playoffs. Nice, nice job, Coach Sean, and got him,
Mm-hmm.
turn him around. Took Bo
Yeah.
Nix, working with them. So hey, that's a good thing. The Chargers and the Raiders. It started off going into the half. It was 17-10. Um, and then going into the fourth, it was 20-13. Still a game. And
Mm-hmm.
then they put 14. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was, the Raiders, Chargers. I mean, and Hardball's got the Chargers looking way better than they
Once
were.
one season and one season and these guys are they made it into the playoffs, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. First season in playoffs. So they can only
Yep.
get better from here.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Seahawks and the Rams um, was a good game. The Seahawks pulled it out. 30-25 got the over. Geno Smith got his bonus.
Mm-hmm.
He needed got his bonus, so that's always cool. The Dolphins and the Jets. The Jets beat the Dolphins 32-20, and then
Mm-hmm.
good old good old Tyreek. What did he say? I don't want. I'm used to being in the playoffs. I'm used to, and I'm like, I don't want to be
Yeah,
here. I want to do what's best for my family. And I'm like, I get it, but
yeah,
maybe that should have been saved for off camera. You know
right.
what I mean? Because it
But you
just
also left a Super Bowl caliber. You could have had another ring had you stayed, probably two. Had you
he would
stayed
have
where
had
you
two.
were,
Yeah,
but you chased the money.
yeah, they won two Super Bowls without him back to back. So that
Mm-hmm.
lets me know that yes, you're an extraordinary talent. But
Right.
when you're dealing with a great team, they can overcome. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They did it with no names, and they're still doing it, and
Right.
they're in the top four teams that probably are going to win the Super Bowl, and you're at home
Mm-hmm.
again,
Looking for
and
another team.
looking for another team, and I say whoever picks them up is. I mean, I don't know. I just think that to me that's kind of a cancer. Not a
Mm-hmm.
great attitude.
Right.
I mean, I get it. You got to do what's best for you, and but like I said, some of that stuff to me just I just think could be said behind closed doors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we
You
understand
know.
what you're saying, and you have a point. But you
Hmm.
did go for the bag, and you got it. And
Hmm.
I think some of it is, I mean, they banked a lot on. You got Tua, who I think is a really good quarterback, but he's very injury prone, and he has some
Hmm.
concussion issues. Um,
Hmm.
and it and it may take him if something, God forbid, something happens to him. It may take them a couple of years to find another. And by that time, all those contracts that you were putting in place, they're expiring. People are going somewhere else. And so
Hmm.
that being said, it's like you know what I mean. It's kind of and they were saying last night that the Jets do not play well, and we already know this. And it's,
Right.
they don't play well in the cold. And unless you're gonna win the AFC and that everyone has to come, you got to figure out how y'all can win in the cold because you got to win some games in the cold.
All of
And that's
your opponents in your division play in the cold.
cold, right?
You know, I mean, it's you know maybe because you're in the AFC East, but you're in the AFC East because you're on the East Coast. You're
Right,
in the
right, right, right,
Eastern
right.
time zone.
Yes,
So, that's just part of it. But it's just
and,
funny. It's funny how all the other teams are cold weather teams and you got Miami down south.
yeah, that's been like that forever. Um, and then so the Dolphins finished 8-9. Um, Not a terrible year. Not where they want. The
No.
Jets finished 5-12. I think the Jets have to step away from Rodgers.
Oh yeah, that's definitely happened. Both him and Devontae Adams. I think they're gonna step away from them. Um they're gonna get and they're just gonna have to do it again.
Yeah,
Find a coach, find themselves a coach,
quarterback.
quarterback. So it's basically starting over. But the
Um,
culture, there's no culture there. The culture's been ruined,
yeah,
and they need to get all of that back.
I totally agree with you. 49ers and the Cardinals. The 49ers, man, so many injuries, just so many injuries. You can't. Um,
Yeah.
it's just I mean, golly, they've had a lot of um, and and I'm sure they're going to have to do some soul searching. They're going to have to do some soul searching about a couple
Hmm.
players that it's like, what are we doing? Um, and I don't know what you do with McCaffrey. I don't know. He's unbelievable on the field if you can keep him on the field,
Right.
but not on the field. He's not much help to the team. I know it's just injuries, but I mean, it's just business decisions. There's no doubt, no doubt. And then you had Minnesota and Detroit. Detroit came, handled Minnesota. Um, that Minnesota struggled with their offense. Their defense was
Hmm.
tough. There was a lot of times his number one wide receiver was wide open. Arnold just couldn't connect with him. Um, and Detroit just kept, if there in the beginning, it was kind of going into the half, it was 10-6. It wasn't like it
Hmm.
was, I mean, it wasn't like it was just so far, but they just couldn't get anything. I mean, Sam Donald went 18 for 41. So he threw the ball and it
Right.
just 166 yards. Um, and like I said, Jefferson was open. He looked frustrated because he was open and he just could not get him the ball. Um,
Right.
and Jared Goff threw two interceptions. And the reason why I bring that up, and it's, you know, that cowboy style how they play, you live and you die by it. You know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
just it's definitely one of those things. But it was a good game. I mean, I was like I said, really surprised. I mean, I thought Detroit was going to score some point. I mean, I didn't expect 31 to 9. I'm not
Right.
surprised that Detroit won. That part doesn't surprise me. I was just surprised that Minnesota had such a hard time
Right.
moving the ball, and that was the part that I was just like, wow. And he just had an off night. I mean,
Hmm.
and so crazy is the Lions end up 15-2.
Right.
The
Number one
Vikings
seed.
end up 14-3. It ain't like they. And the good news is they're not going to have to play each other.
Right.
If they play each other, it's going to be probably be for the NFC Championship,
Hmm.
um, which is probably good news for the Vikings because they can kind of watch a lot of tape and
Hmm.
pick up on um, pick up on some mistakes, some different schemes, see what they were doing to him that was throwing his game off. I mean, they were rushing him. There's no doubt about it. Um,
Right. They brought the pressure.
they did bring the pressure, um, and I think he, I think it was like he just kind of. It just seemed like he started falling, but he could. He was pushing the plays, and then it just kind of. Remember replacement players like
Hmm.
quicksand. One thing goes bad, then the next thing goes bad, and then
Right.
you're just trying to go okay. And that really what it reminded me of last night because he just couldn't get in a rhythm. I mean, he wasn't even 50% on the completions. I mean, he was um, like 40%. I mean, Jared Goff threw 27. He completed 27 out of 33. That's
Hmm.
I mean, that's a good completion. He still had two interceptions. But that being said, he uh he put yeah, Jared Goff, he definitely shows he could take the pressure. You know what I mean? Like he even that game we watched him with the five interceptions, they just kept throwing the ball. They were determined to make that happen. All right,
Right.
guys, when we get back, we are gonna go over our playoff lineups, look at our spreads, see what we got, see what action we got. Then we're going to try to cover some more stuff, see if we can cover all that. Just so much. When the NFL's in town, it's like it's the main show. It's the main in the circus. It's the main event. It's kind of hard. I know a lot of people yeah, you could disagree, but the reality is the NFL is king,
Right.
and everything else kind of takes a second fiddle to it. All right, guys, when
Hmm.
we get back, we're going to cover our spreads, talk about the playoffs. It's Tony G, Big Lou, the sports book, every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, KM Radio, where we go.
Hell.
Oh. KM Radio, we go ham. It's your boy, Tony G, Big Lou. It's the sports book every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock on KM Radio. I want to thank everyone that tunes in, watches, listens to our show. I want to thank everybody that helps sponsor and thank everyone at our KM Radio family. All right, we are in. It's hard to believe that the NFL we've already made it through the season, um, and we are at the playoffs.
Hmm.
So the
Wild
first
card weekend.
wild card weekend. So the first game is the Chargers against Houston. What's your
Mm.
thoughts?
Oh,
The
Chargers at
spread,
Houston. They're
yeah, it's the three. It's the three spread. It's a -3. In fact, the
hmm.
Chargers are favored.
Yeah. Wow. This is going to be a hard week. This is going to be a hard week of betting for me. It's hard because these teams are so much alike in certain ways. You know, I do think it's hard to pick because it's like the quarterbacks kind of right there. You know, you see flashes, but you also see where there needs to be some growth. We expect more out of Herbert because he's been there longer. He's been in the
Yeah,
game longer. But they're very evenly matched. And oh man, this is gonna be a
I,
hard one for me. I'm gonna have
and
to,
I and I agree with you, but I got to lean towards the Chargers, and I'm gonna tell you why. Houston, I know they got some injuries and stuff. They just haven't. I don't know. They've let me down a few times, and it's like they haven't come to
Mhm.
perform.
Right.
Now they are playing at home. Shouldn't be. Should not. The weather shouldn't be a huge factor. It'll be a little chilly. Nothing too crazy.
Right.
It's a 3 point spread. The total's 42. Money line's 162. Um, and like I said, now there's some props. Um, there's some good prop bets on this. Reception. Um, yeah, rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Joe Mixon. But so there's some good props on this. There's no doubt about it. I like the Chargers, and I like the over.
Okay.
I like to charge an over. Now, like it's always the same routine. Got to look at the injured reserve. Got to see who's not playing. If there's any big
Mm-hmm.
factors, who's questionable. But right now, I like the Chargers. I like the. I mean, I would probably take them on the money line. It's minus 162. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Only because that three. I don't know that 3 points sometimes, but it's not. There's no hook on it, so I definitely like the three. But I like the Chargers, and I like the over 42 and a half. May change the 42 and a half to because I definitely think the Chargers are going to score some points, and I think Houston is going to score. They're both capable of scoring 20 points, 20,
Right.
22 points apiece, which is going to
Mm-hmm.
which is going to put you in your over. Um, that being said, um, I like the Chargers. I like the over. That's game
Okay.
one.
Game one.
Game two, AFC wild card. So they're both in four other. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
the first
We got a
game,
3:30 game. Yeah. The first
yeah,
game is gonna be at 3:30.
3:30. Next game is going
Mm-hmm.
to be at 7. Um,
Right.
it's Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I mean, I like Pittsburgh and Baltimore should be a good game, but I like Baltimore doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I think so. This is just my opinion. So I think Lamar's a great quarterback. I think the team is built around many things. It's built around him running, and it's built around Henry running. Because if you look at Lamar's passing, he has a great percentage, a great quarterback rating. But there's one thing that he doesn't do. He don't throw the ball 50 times a game or 40.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So he don't so they I mean they've done what they've built a team around this unbelievable athlete. What you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to. So that being said, I think the way you no, I don't think the way you beat Baltimore is you make them throw the ball a bunch because that's where they're
Mm-hmm.
not. They don't like to throw it 30 or 40 times. Um,
No.
and if you think I'm lying, just look at the games they lost. It was they stopped Henry. You know what I mean? They've jammed up
Yep.
Henry,
Yep.
kind of jammed him. And I say jammed up, they held him to 70 yards and Lamar to
Mm-hmm.
60 yards. It wasn't like they stopped him, but just enough to put that ball back in the air. Because then all of a sudden
Right.
you got to, when you're behind, you don't have the luxury of running the ball. That's another thing.
No.
So Pittsburgh, I just don't think they have what it takes. Um, I just don't think they have what it takes to put them on their heels because that's the only
Mm-mm.
way. Now, I don't like the spread because I know Pittsburgh is going to come to play tough. I
Right.
don't like the money line is minus 500, so you can't do much with that. But if you could take if I'm correct, if you could take okay, let me go back. I'm on a different site here. If you
Okay.
can, if you can take if you could just turn it back to 7 and see what it changes the line. But I think it's Baltimore all day long. I mean, I think Baltimore is going to hand them. their defeat, and I think they're gonna, it's gonna be it's gonna be a long day. Um,
Hmm.
but it is a conference game, and I'm sure Pittsburgh was like, man, we won these many games. Now we're gonna have to play them first round because a lot of this is
Right.
just matchups. What is the easiest road to the Super Bowl? That's the road you want.
Hmm.
Um, so again, I like Baltimore, and I would say I don't like the over because I don't know if it's going to be one of them games where Pittsburgh scores 9 points or 10 points,
Right. Right.
and then they score 25, and then it's like, that's not. But I definitely I like the Ravens.
Okay.
Denver and Buffalo. Now they're giving the Broncos plus 8.5. The way the Broncos played the other day, sure, they could beat Buffalo. I'm not saying they couldn't. I just think with the talent that Buffalo has and the way they're playing, I think. Now, I will say this, something to be concerned with is uh, Pittsburgh led the league, not Pittsburgh, I'm sorry. Denver led the league with the most sacks. So they
Right.
have the best front four in all of football.
Hmm.
And that's something to be said. So they're in it. I mean, they're plus 8.5. I think if but here it goes all goes back to execution. If they can get to Josh, they can beat him.
Right.
If Josh spreads the field on them, there's not a lot of stunting you can do because he'll put up
Right.
14, 21 points on you, and you're like, oh well, I thought we were gonna. Yeah. Now the over's 46. I do like the over because I think Denver can score some points, and I think the
Hmm.
Bills are definitely equipped to. Let's look at let's look at a prop. So Josh Allen to throw over 250 yards is plus 165.
Wow.
That's pretty. Um, and they got Bo Nix, who he's plus 170. And another thing with this, it's going to be played in Buffalo, so you got to look at the
Hmm.
weather. Not that the weather is
Right.
affecting Denver or the Bills, but it could affect the passing game. We say
Hmm.
that, and the last time we watched the Bills in the freezing cold with snow coming down, Josh Allen threw it everywhere he wanted to throw, which was strange.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't
Right.
expecting that. But I like the Bills. I would tweak it. I would take the 8.5 and just maybe make it 7. See where you're at there. A lot of props. This is another one. A lot of props.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of props to be had. Um, okay. So then I guess we go. So those are our Saturday games. Is that correct?
Yes, the
Yes.
Saturday games were the Chargers, Texans, and Steelers, Ravens. Um, the Broncos Bill game we just did. That's a Sunday game. It's going to be at noon, and it's going to be on the CBS affiliate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's all right. Sunday.
So
So the
that's our
next,
first Sunday game. Yeah.
it's our first Sunday game. So the next game is Green Bay and Philly. I
Whew.
mean,
I think
I
that's
know,
going to be the
right?
game of the day. I think that's going to be the game of the day. That's going to be the game of the day.
You
Even though the
think Green?
Packers are going into Philly, they're going
Yeah.
into Philly to play. I just don't think that the Packers have enough for Saquon. They don't have enough for Saquon. And then these receivers are starting, and with the addition of Saquon, now these receivers are starting to benefit from their play action pass.
Sure.
So it's going to be hard. I think if Green Bay brings their A game, they can hang with Philly, but it's going to be tough to beat them. It's going to be tough.
I think it's going to take. I think Jordan Love's going to have to be on top of his game.
It's going to have a
Um,
flawless game to win. Flawless.
yes. Now the spread's 45.5. I wouldn't mind tweaking that to maybe 42 or wherever you
Hmm.
can get the money line to make sense to you. Um, the Yeah, I mean you have to lean towards Philly with the 4. I mean even minus 4.5. Because like I said, Green Bay can win this game, but I think Philly at home, and the way they were playing. and I think Saquon Barkley is going to be too much for them to handle.
Absolutely.
Provided not an injury or anything like that happening, it's going to be in Philly. Um,
Hmm.
like I said, this is another one. The weather doesn't going to affect either one. Both teams playing in bad weather. But definitely keep an eye on the weather because it could definitely affect your over, your yardage, whatever. Let's see. Let me see. Saquon Barkley. So let's see what they got. Pass receiving rush. Okay. Josh rushing. Saquon Barkley. For him to run 120 yards plus is 160, 165. That's enough. I mean, and it's a doable number
Yeah, it's
if he
doable.
gets going. Yeah. Because they're gonna. I mean, the bottom line is they're gonna feed him the ball. They want him to. They
Right.
want you know. What I mean, because like you said, it opens up everything else. Everything else and that's the same thing with the Ravens. Henry's opening up. Lamar's running. Lamar's opening up his running, and then they could throw a couple passes here and there, and that's
Right.
exactly what Saquon Barkley with Philly. That's definitely that 120, 120 plus 165. I mean, um it's not as crazy as it may sound. Um
Right.
because he can definitely get off. He can definitely get off. All right, hold on, we're gonna flip that. All right. So now the next game Sunday is going to be Washington and Tampa Bay. What are you thinking?
Mhm.
Washington going to Tampa Bay.
I think it's going to be a great game. Um, I haven't seen Washington play on the road that much this season. I've been paying attention, but I haven't been following the team.
Right.
And as far as like road wins, I haven't, tallied them up or I haven't seen them perform on the road. Maybe I need to go and look at some tape here later. But I think Tampa Bay is cooking on all cylinders, especially with getting Mike Evans, but Mike Evans getting the record in the game last week. I
Right.
think they're gonna use that for motivation for this week to take it all the way. Baker is operating on all cylinders. He's found his team. He's found his spot, and it's going to be tough for the Commanders to beat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay does give up points, so we know Washington is going to score some points. It could easily go in either way. It could easily go either way. Although I just said it'd be tough for them to win. But now that I tally in that, they will give up some points, this could be a close one, Tony. I think Tampa
Y-
Bay is going to pull it off, but I don't think it's going to be a landslide. I think Washington's going to hang in there. But we also got to remember we got a rookie quarterback. This is his first playoff game.
Right.
Everything goes up a notch in the playoffs. So this is going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah, he's proven. I mean, he's been. Washington had a great year. He did, and there were some times you. I mean, he's a rookie. There's no.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, um that's for sure. I'm leaning with you with. I think I think Baker's going to have a good day, and then they can play. Sometimes they play shoddy. You know, what I mean, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, you guys. But I think Tampa's going to try to win their first round out of here, and and then and kind of go from there. But I like Tampa -3 as of right now. Uh, the under or the over, the over the 50. I mean, both teams can definitely score. I would just like to lower that just a tad and squeak her
Yeah.
down. Um, but yeah. So then we have a Monday night football.
Right.
All right. So the Monday night playoff game is
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota and Los Angeles.
Wow.
Minnesota is favored by a point and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have seen these Rams play extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the thing is they have a great head coach. How much was he able to pick up what Detroit did? Because whatever Detroit did, it really shook him. He was
Right.
off his game, and he's going to have a bad. I mean, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is can he shake back? Can Minnesota shake back? I mean, Minnesota's got the better record,
Mm-hmm.
and can they come back and dominate the Rams? And the Rams are that team, just well coached, play good football that you can never.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Last time I said this about them, they laid an egg on us, and it was like,
Right.
what just happened? This is one of them games I'm not really. I don't like the over
Right.
because I think I think he can. I think LA can jam him up enough where they keep it. 2017, 20, they could keep it in there in that playing field where it's going to be a real chess game where they're not going to try to make it who can score as many touchdowns. Um,
Right.
and that's where I give LA the advantage. So I don't like the
Mm-hmm.
over. I actually like the under 47. Um,
Right.
the Monday night game, it's in Los Angeles. The
Mm-hmm.
weather should be pretty decent. I know there's
Yep.
a winter blast going through a lot of states, but they should be fine. Minnesota plays in a dome. Um, I like the under in this game. This
Mm-hmm.
is one of them games where I'm kind of out of. Um,
Yeah.
I'm kind of out of. Now, let me ask you this: if you can pull it up on yours, have a little internet, can you show where the winner who plays? Let's see if we can get this. The playoff breakdown. So when the winners of
Okay.
these game, let me see.
Okay. I had it earlier too. I should have snapshot it. I should have snapshotted. Okay, so the
Let me see here.
okay. So the winner out of I had it pulled up. I
What
can't
did you
find
have
it
it under
where
playoff? 2024. Uh,
I had it under 2024 playoffs where they had all of the teams matched up and they had, out of the two teams, which one plays the division leaders.
yeah, that's what I was trying to. Um,
And I'm trying to see
oh, I
if I can
think
pull that up.
There we go. That's not what I was trying to get a breakdown. I should have had it. Um, no, I don't want that.
Okay. Okay, here we go. All
Okay.
right, I got it. Now, the winner out of the Rams and Vikings, they play Detroit.
Oh,
And
okay.
the in the NFC. And the winner out of Tampa Bay and Washington get a spot, and the winner out of Green Bay and Philly gets the other spot on the other side.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now in the AFC, the winner out of the Chargers and the Texans play Kansas City. And then in the other side of the bracket, it's the winner out of Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo and Denver. The winners out of those two games play each other. And then the winners out of those games will be in the AFC Championship. Just like the
Okay.
winner out of whoever wins out of Minnesota and LA that plays Detroit, the winner
Yes.
out of those two games go to the
NFC
NFC
Championship.
Right. Just like
Right.
same with the other ones. The winner out of Tampa
Yeah.
Bay and Washington and Green Bay and Philly, those two will play for the other side of the NFC Championship bracket.
So, okay. So, all right. I see. And so really the Ravens and Steelers and the Bills and Bronco, whoever wins those games, they're going to play to have a chance to go to the to the AFC Championship, and
Right.
whoever Texas and Chargers, whoever wins that game gets to play the Chiefs for the chance to go to the AFC Championship.
Right.
Ooh,
Right. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's a was hoping for an easy, looking at that, breaking it down like that. I mean,
Hmm.
it could be the Buccaneers and the Eagles playing for um
And what
pl-
a game that's going to be.
yeah, that could be
Yeah,
a
it
heck
looks
of a
like Bucks Eagles. Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a game.
if that's how it unfolds, and then Rams and Vikings. Um,
Yeah.
I like I said, if he can shake off if he can shake off the other night and say, hey, the game's over. It doesn't mean it
Hmm.
is what it is.
It is what
Um,
it is.
and then shake it off, and then he has to shake it off, and then he's got to go back to
Back to
Detroit
Detroit for round two.
and for round two with them, and yeah, that's a big thing. That's why finishing the number one seed doesn't suck
Hmm.
because
Right.
you get to
Get that extra
rest.
week off. Yeah.
Yes, you get to rest, and then it's like, hey, we're playing for a chance to go to the NFC or AFC championship, which is,
Hmm.
you know, it's a two stepper. Um, so yeah, that road it could be, to be honest with you, I see the Bills and Ravens, and I see the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Hmm.
That's what I see. That's what I see. And
Hmm.
if that happens, that's gonna be a rough road for the Bills. They got to stop Henry. If
Yeah.
I know we're counting our chickens before the half. We got to get past the Broncos. Um,
Right.
but
Because they're not gonna be
no, they're not going to be.
yeah, they're not gonna
They're
be an
not.
easy dub. If
No,
they
no,
and I do believe Buffalo can beat Denver, but it's not gonna be easy.
no. I think it's going
And
to be
and the Bills Ravens is the matchup we want to see because these are the two MVPs.
yes, yes,
So
and it's a lot of
these
yeah.
are so that's the game we want to see. We want to go. We want to see the two potential MVPs of the season go at it. That's what we want
The
to see.
the good news is for my Bills is if they keep winning, you got to come to Buffalo. That's
Got to
the
come to
one thing.
Buffalo.
Yeah, until they go to the AFC Championship, which is fine.
Right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just how it is. But at least the Broncos had to come. If the Bills win, whoever wins between the Steelers and the Ravens, they got to come to Buffalo. So that's always a good thing. And I'm sure the same thing with the Lions. If the Lions
Mm-hmm.
keep winning, you got to come. You got to come
Yeah.
to
Got to come to
the
that dome.
yeah,
Got to come to Detroit.
the team that I really think has a chance of beating the Lions is the Eagles in NFC. I mean, anybody can beat them any given day. I get all that. But I think, I think we saw a little bit of the Vikings' weakness yesterday, unless
Mm-hmm.
they can, like I said, unless they can totally clean that up. Um,
Right.
and then the Bucks and the Commanders, I just don't think they have the firing power to keep up with the Lions. Again, anything can happen.
No.
And the Packers are the same thing. I mean, they good young team. I just don't think they have because whoever beats the Lions it's gonna be like when the Bills played them. It's gonna be let's play. It's gonna be wide open,
Right.
and we're just gonna keep rolling, and that's how you're gonna beat them. And the only people that have that kind of tenacity is the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is, at least you play, and the weather isn't going to be a factor.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's the good news. You're going to play most likely. You're going to play in a dome, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then in whatever whoever plays in the AFC. I mean, weather's just going to be weather because they all come from, except for the Texans and the Chargers. They're
Mm-hmm.
that's the only thing. That's the only thing on the Chargers that I if they do get past the Texans, the Chiefs want it to be like 14 degrees when you land. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that may not be perfect for the Chargers. But that being said, we got a great playoff setup. That's for sure. A lot of good
Mm-hmm.
gambling coming up. A lot of good prop bets. Um, Gamble wise, that's all I can say. Um, oh Jedi, gamble wise. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, man, I want to thank everyone for tuning in every Tuesday night. I want to thank some of our sponsor, SI Motorsports, Once Upon a Diamond, the Pool Freaks, Big Robbie, King of the Diamond Billiards. Go by, talk to these guys, tell them that Tony G, Big Lou sent you. You heard it on the sports book. We appreciate it. Like I said, if you guys have any kind of questions, hit us up on the Facebook page, sportsbook page, the KM radio page, any kind of advertisement sponsorship, you have to go through that, go through the home office, um, and they'll answer all your questions. If you have any questions or have any answers that you may need, they'll definitely get you taken care of. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Excuse me, right here on KM Radio. Tuesday night, the sports book. Big Lou, Tony G, KM Radio, where we go ham.
Damn.